Ai mai nei tēnei hui ngā Mānukanuka o te iwi, tēnā koe te katoa. Me tū tātou ki te karakia. O te karakia a te kaunihera nei, tū taua mai runga. Tōru whā.
Tū taua mai runga, tū taua mai raro, tū taua mai roto, tū taua mai wawa. Hea tau ai te Māori tū, te Māori ora, ki te katoa, honi e, hui e, tai e.
Nā tātou katoa anō hoki, e mihi nei, ia tātou ko karakia nei, tō tātou huinga nei. Nau mai hoki mai, nau mai tauti mai tātou, ki tēnei huinga. Kia koutou nā, kia koe te kahika, tēnei te mihi kia koe. Kia koe anō hoki, tō tātou pauwhakarai, Louise, aha kua kairunga i te ipurangi nei, tēnā koe, he mihi tēnei. O tira he mihi anō hoki ki a tātou kanohi o nā kai kaunihera nei, Sally, Keith, Graham.
Richard.
No, Richard. Richard. Tēnā koe, tēnā tātou. O tira ki a tātou kaumātua anō hoki, Uncle Matt, nā mihi kia koe. Tātou kai kanohi o ngā marae, au ahuriri tēnā anō hoki tātou. Hoki te wakarangapu, Cynthia, Hillary, tēnā tātou. Ki ngā kaimahi nei, tēnā koe tau katoa noho nei. Kia ora rā, nā mihi kia tātou. O tira, me tīmata tātou tēnei tā tātou hui. Kia ora tātou.
Kia ora.
Just want to take a moment to remind us that the meeting is being recorded, live streamed on our Facebook page, on the Council's Facebook page. Is there any apologies? Deputy Mayor Brosnan has an apologies today, so kia ora, tēnā koe. Are there any conflicts of interest to declare? Nope, ka pai, no conflicts. There is no public forum, and are there any announcements to be made? Otherwise.
Just a reminder to everybody that we have our postponed Matariki celebrations this evening at the Sound Show, so we're all very excited. The forecast is looking fabulous. Would love to see all of our community along to celebrate that with us.
Nominations open.
Oh, and yes, nominations for local government elections open today. So looking forward to seeing how many people in our community would like to put their name forward to be part of this year's elections. Thank you.
Tēnā koe. Any announcements from the chair? It's my first day today, so excuse the nervousness. Are there any minor matters on the agenda? Any on the agenda? No, nothing on the agenda. Any announcements by management, please? Nope. Ka pai. Kia ora tātou. So, confirmation of minutes, that the draft minutes of the Ngā Mānukanuka o te iwi committee meeting held on Friday 14th of March be taken as true and correct, an accurate record of the meeting. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Kia ora Darren, kia ora Kirk. Okay. Against? Carried? Tēnā tātou. Ai, wahua ki nā te kōrero nai nei, kia ora rā. Agenda item number 1, e mihi tēnei, ki te toko turu tapu, e noho nei. The Waka Hub Cultural Narrative Mahi Toi Procurement, presented by Georgina, tēnā koe Georgie.
Tēnā koe.
Peter P. Smith and Nathan Ford, tēnā kōrua. Mā manaakitanga, kei aku.
Kia ora tātou, tuatahi mihi atu kia koutou katoa o te hui nei, kia koutou ngā mihi i tō koutou karakia hei tūwhera tāta. Tēnei hui tēnei ata, kei te mihi kia koutou katoa. Me kia koe Bev, ngā mihi kia koe i tō reo whakatau i a mātou. Anoi te mihi kia koutou. Kia rātou whetūrangitia, haere atu rā. Rātou tohunga oki kia rātou, tātou tohunga ora kia tātou. Tihei Māori ora. Kia ora koutou, ko Peter P. Smith tōku ingoa, he kai whakatere waka, ki ringi tō tātou waka o Te Matao Māui. Ata Māori.
Kia ora koutou, tēnei te mihi nunui ki a koutou katoa. Ko Nathan tōku ingoa. I am the Mānukanuka design lead for the Whare Waka kaupapa. Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Tēnā koe.
Kia ora, ko Georgina King tōku ingoa. I'm the project owner for the Waka Hub, and I'm just here today to put forward the cultural narrative and mahi toi opportunities. So the purpose of this report today is to seek your endorsement for the cultural narrative for the Waka Hub, and also to update the committee on the development of the mahi toi associated with that project. Before you today, the office's recommendation is to endorse the Waka Hub cultural narrative and to receive the report updating you on the mahi toi opportunities. As you'll be aware, the Waka Hub is a significant project for Council and our partners Aotearangi Educational Trust, not only as an important co-design initiative, but also as an exciting opportunity to integrate meaningful mahi toi into both the Waka Hub building and the surrounding landscape. This paper outlines the key mahi toi opportunities, how they link to the cultural narrative and the design brief, as well as the specific materials and form that each mahi toi opportunity will take within the building itself and the surrounds. And I'd like to pass over now to Piripi and Nathan to walk you through those. Thank you.
Ai, kia ora tātou. So the cultural narrative for the Ahuriri Whare Waka, I guess if we start... Is that how it works?
I can help you.
Oh, this one.
I'll just do the arrows.
I'm not very technical, people, so bear with me.
Kapai.
Yeah, kapai. Just a bit of a review for those that are not familiar with the kaupapa. The vision, ka heringa waka, ka whitiwhiti kōrero, ka whitiwhiti whakaaro, ka tū mai te maramatanga. So when waka come together, are tied together, then kōrero is exchanged, thoughts are exchanged, and then enlightenment comes forth. The whakatauki is speaks to the inspiration behind the whare waka, and it's about creating the environment that harbours the heart of this kaupapa in Ahuriri to help foster, encourage and perpetuate kaupapa waka, and in particular at this time with the renaissance of waka haurua and traditional navigation. And it's also to embrace the wider whānau from the Pacific, te moana nui a Kiwa. So we're thinking that the whare waka is about harbouring, embracing and considering our whānau. When they arrive here on their waka haurua, they have a place that's safe, they can offload, they can have a kai, they can relax and then mingle with the locals and enhance the mātauranga in and around kaupapa waka.
And just there you see an image of last year we had our national Tahau Kōmaru Waka Haurua Festival. So we are scheduled to be hosting that in the next time that this is going, and probably in 2 years' time. So we can expect a good 4 to 5, maybe even more waka haurua that are travelling here from Aotearoa and some from around the Pacific as well.
Just quickly, so the conceptual beginnings in regards to where we've landed with the whare waka in its physical form at the moment and its conceptual manifestation is that the connection between waka across Te Moana Nui a Kiwa and beyond, what connects us, and then through that connection, how would that inform what the Waka Hub would look like, what a whare waka might look like. So that connecting thread really is in and around the waka technologies themselves, and I think we're very fortunate to have waka technologies across Te Moana Nui a Kiwa that show the diversity, the ingenuity and comprehensive understanding of our tipuna and our whānau from Te Moananui a Kiwa about how they created vessels that could navigate the Pacific. And so the technologies of the waka have helped to inform the whare waka itself, and what we're talking about really is that stitching and binding elements that have enabled bits and pieces of rākau and fibres to help our people traverse the Pacific Ocean. So we can see a couple of images up there of the two different waka from Santa Cruz and the Tahitian one, and then below that the Haumi Kokomo. So that's our contribution to those technologies that's unique to us here in Aotearoa. That join, the Haumi Kokomo is only found here in Aotearoa. So that's our connection, our thread back to our whānau in Te Moananui a Kiwa.
And so just with the Haumi Kokomo, this specific type of join is used to join the waka together to make it longer, but to make it stronger so that it can handle the impact of the swells within the moana. So, and if we sort of like put that into the concept of what we're trying to do, we're trying to, at many different levels, we're joining with another community group in terms of the sailing club to hopefully have a bit more unity there. But we're also joining with other Pacific communities as well, hoping to strengthen those ties. So, and just down at the bottom, you can see one of the original concepts of how we would actually be able to show that that Haumi join in the roofline. So basically the roofline is, if you imagine a waka upturned, we should be able to see the Haumi join in the top roofline.
So obviously part of the whare waka is to acknowledge mana whenua. Part of that acknowledgement will come through whakapapa, and the whakapapa will be expressed in certain elements in terms of mahi toi. So Tangaro, we're looking at representing Tangaro at the apex of the whare waka at the northern entry. When we get to this end of the PowerPoint, we'll have some images which we can explain a little bit more about where these pieces, mahi toi, will be positioned. So Tangaro will be at the apex of that northern entrance. So we're looking at a kōruru, which is a carved head, and that would be, like I said, the representation for Tangaro. On the eastern wall, on the exterior, there's an expression there. We're looking to have some pou, which would be representing Te Whānau Punaturi, Pānia, More, and Karetoki, so they would have that representation on that eastern side of the whare. Kopa?
Yeah. Also acknowledging some of the iwi takitake before us as Ngāti Kahungunu came down. You know, we were Ngāti Whatu Māmo, which takes us back to Orotu, which is what we, the large water mass. So we want to make sure that we're acknowledging those iwi takitake within our pou as well.
On the same wall, which is the eastern facing wall exterior, the outside wall, we'd like to express and acknowledge the tohora, the ika and the manu, the whales and the birds and the fish that actually contributed to the ability of our tupuna to traverse Te Moananui a Kiwa. So a lot of these animals, without their aid and without their specific pathways that in their migration routes, potentially helping our tupuna to find those pathways to us here in Aotearoa. So yeah, I believe without the abundance that used to be in our seas, which we no longer have, and I've commented here about how it's probably hard for us to actually comprehend and imagine what our world used to look like for our tupuna with the abundance that used to be in the oceans, the bird life that used to be here and around Te Moananui-a-Kiwa. So those creatures played a massive part, I believe, in enabling us to colonise, move into the Pacific Islands.
And so the likes of, in terms of tohora, we'll be making sure that we acknowledge the likes of Rua Mano, Hene Kokako, Tūtara Kauika. There's a whole host of kaitiaki that help our migrating waka come down here, and so we'll be making sure that we have a mihi to them in one of these po. And so the name that we're proposing is Te Moananui-a-Kiwa, which is pretty much the Pacific Ocean. And here we have the whakapapa down through to Te Moananui-a-Kiwa. And this is a sort of like a whakatauki that matua Hikanuka Mai Busby would use quite often. So ko tangaroa tātou o te moana, ko hini moa te whaia, ka moia hini moa i a kiwa, ko rea te Moananui-a-Kiwa. So how the moana came to be. And this really is a acknowledgement to our tuakana, our whanaunga in Te Moananui-a-Kiwa. We're working closely with the other waka whānau, like in Samoa, Fiji, Tahiti, Rarotonga, in terms of some designs that they would like to incorporate within this whare. We're connecting with local Pacifica groups, and we're really wanting them to have input into the design, but also to actually use this facility. We don't just want this to be a Māori waka whare. We want this to be for the people of the Pacific. And that's why we're looking at Te Moananui-a-Kiwa for the main name of the whare waka.
And so to acknowledge Te Moananui-a-Kiwa and that name that we'll give to the whare waka, we will be looking in terms of the mahi toi, incorporating a design on the northern entry, the front window and the doors of that whare waka. And then there'll be two po that we're wanting to carve out of real timber, tōtara preferably, which would be a representation of Hanemoana and Kiwa that would sort of be on either side of that Te Moananui-a-Kiwa surface pattern design on the glazing of the northern entry.
And also wanting to acknowledge a lot of our tuakana, remembering that that us as Māori, we are the pōtiki within Te Moananui-a-Kiwa. So really acknowledging a lot of those other places where this mātuaranga has come from, where it's been passed by through the next generation, so that us as Māori were able to get it. And so down there's a list of designs that we would see from within that would be within the whare. So we're not, this probably won't look like it isn't a whare nui, but it functions similar to a whare nui. But we're not going to have Māori designs up everywhere. It's really is. There will be some Māori stuff there, but it's really an acknowledgement to Te Moananui-a-Kiwa.
And just in terms of how we're going to do that and the mahi toi opportunities to present this idea is having 8 panels that will be designed by peoples of these islands, these nations, so it's not sort of myself as a Māori artist trying to design somebody else's designs and trying to give meaning to it. We're wanting to be as true as possible to their mahi toi, and so that's what we're aiming to do is engage with these nations and have a representative from there to design their mahi toi that would then embellish our whare waka. Just in terms of the landscape, the outside te taiao that we're looking to create, one of the taonga species that we'd like to introduce is the pingao, and there's some reasonings behind that, and one is that it's a taonga species, obviously has many uses for us here, and it also is a threatened species. So the whare waka, the other side of it is it's an education space. So a lot of what we're going to be doing there is to educate rangatahi and young people about the world around them, the world that they live in, and to introduce them to things like pingao that they may have never seen before, never encountered or had a relationship with. So it's an opportunity to introduce them to that species and to also introduce, everybody that this plant has lost its habitat and that it has a significant role to play in sand dune preservation, and also it in certain parts of the country, obviously not here, but the tohero and pingao have a close relationship. So there's a connection with tangaro in terms of that aspect of the plant, and then also it's a bit of a transition plant in that it's not in tangaro and it's not in Tāne Mahuta, so it sits in between, so there's a kind of a transition space for our manuhiri from tangata moana, those that are coming on the waka. It kind of presents that idea and that concept.
And in terms of the mauri of our whare, we see that as being an actual ponga, stone, similar to the image up in there, which would go at the just in front of the whare there in that grass bit, and that would act as the mauri for the whare waka.
So this image is the latest concept for the front, the northern entry for the whare waka. And if we just looking at these numbers, so as Piripi's just mentioned, M18, that circle, grey circle on that grass is going to be potentially where the mauri, the te punga, will be placed. M9 at the apex there of that whare waka is where the kōruru, the carved head for tangaro would be placed. The M3, M2 is the area that I talked about for Te Moana Nui a Kiwa, so that pattern will be in a vinyl, and then we're hoping the light, we're going to get some play in the whare from the light and shadows in that space. Mm-hmm. M15, M16, that's our po, that again will be solid rākau, tōtara carved, representing Kiwa and Hinemoana. And then the M1, we're calling it a pare, but for want of better words, but it's really kind of a connector with hopefully called whaiwhai patterning that'll connect that whole front aspect and that whole whakapapa together.
And inside the whare, what we envisage is the various designs from the islands that would be CNC'd into the ply wall and also the roof.
So eastern elevation, and talking earlier before about the po for Te Whānau Punaturi and Orotu, so we're thinking on this eastern side there, one of those panels, the carvings for those tipuna would be here, and then the representation and acknowledgement of the tohora, ika and manu would also be on this eastern face.
And so in our whare, we have the main part of the whare is the education centre, which is on the right side. And above that, you can see the acknowledgement of the homie join that will be in the roofline. There's services in the middle, wharepaku, showers, a little bit of storage, and then to the left is the workshop and waka storage area.
Just the south end elevation. So we've got the workshop at the south end, as Piripi was saying, and it's another nice view of the shape of the roof line, the profile of it in terms of an upside down waka, creating a space that's going to help with the waka kaupapa.
Kia ora, ko mitu.
Thank you. So your endorsement of the cultural narrative today ensures its inclusion within the developed design package, which is going to be coming to Council for approval on the 28th of August, and its inclusion within the physical implementation of the Waka Hub itself. So thank you for receiving this paper, and if you'd like to ask any questions.
Any questions from the committee?
Oh, ai. Tūtai me kawana kia koutou māpu oi o mahi. It's beautiful, it's great. But I have got just one part, and you spoke of tangaroa and punaturi, there places in it, which is great. But in our area, we've also got a tohora called Tangitu. Tangitu is quite prominent in this area. And she's a tohora from Tānguio. So she's got her own thing, so it'll be nice to have that included somewhere. So she's got her own story behind that. But all this area, I think, Maunga Hareru Tangitu, we talk about Tangitu. So we got our main ancestor from the Punaturi family, who is Ruamano, or everyone comes down for Ruamano, which is the main whale that brought in Takitumu. It guided her. Guided everyone here, but from in our own area, from the Punaturi, we got whai, we got wheke, when we got our mako, but we've also got our own whale here too, and that's Tangitu. So it'd be nice to see that included in this area as well. Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Kia ora. Any more questions? Kia ora.
Kia ora, through you, Madam Chair. Morena, guys, thank you so much. It's a beautiful cultural narrative and exciting for, I think, the people of Te Mataua Māui and from across the Pacific to think that that we're going to have this taonga here for them all to connect to. My question is thinking forward a little bit in regards to our resolution that we have. So looking to endorse the cultural narrative, but I wondered whether there was any kōrero around bolstering that. I know that there's a differentiation in the paper made between the design and the installation of the toi, recognising the fact that installation probably is quite a technical thing and so needs that skill set, but still that our designers, our artists will be overseeing it. So the ongoing care and protection of the mahi toi, I wondered it might be worth having a conversation about how you want that addressed by Council in the long term, and whether making that recommendation today to come to Council as part of the paper on the 28th of August, it would just provide clarity and expectation ongoing.
Thank you, Councillor Crown. Yeah. Yep, I think that's a absolutely good kōrero that you put on the table. So do we put that as a...
I can put that as an action.
We'll put that as, yes, we'll put that as an action point for our next kapai. Any more questions on the floor from the committee? Kapai. Okay, so we have two on the floor at the moment around one, to endorse the Waka Hub cultural narrative, and two, to receive the report updating the development of the mahi toi for the Waka Hub project. Do I have a seconder and a mover? Councillor Crown?
Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Aroha mai, can we add a C to that?
C?
to, I suppose, cement that action that you've noted. I was thinking something along the line of recommend that a representative from the Mana Whenua Mahi Toi design team be included in the ongoing governance or asset management arrangements for the Waka Hub to ensure the cultural integrity, appropriate care and long-term stewardship of the Mahi Toi elements.
Ka pai. That'll be number C.
Would you like me to send that to you, Gemma?
I'll read it a little bit slower. Email it to you.
Sorry.
So we have three things on the table. A, endorse the Waka Hub cultural narrative. B, receive the report updating the development of the Mahi Toi for the Waka Hub project. And C, what Councillor Sally Crown has just put on the table for us. So do I have a mover and a seconder, please? Kirk and Evelyn. Thank you. Tēnā koutou. Tēnā koutou.
No.
Is that it? Yeah. Right. Thank you. Nā mihi kia koutou.
Kia ora.
Kia ora koutou.
Ngā mihi.
Vote. Oh, all those in favour, sorry, all those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any against? No. Thank you. Carried. Thank you. Okay. On the agenda, item 2, introduction of Napier City Council's inaugural Citizens' Assembly, presented by Julia Stevens and Jess Suter-Barron. Tēnā kōrua.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Julia Stevens Takuangawa, and
tēnā koutou katoa, koutou kua tai mai nei e tēnei wā. Haere mai ki te whakarongo, haere mai ki te awhi, ki te tautoko, haere mai ki te pātai, haere mai ki te hāpai i te kaupapa o te wā. Ko Waiahau, ko Jess Suter-Barron Takuingawa, ko kai whakahaere, whakapā, o te kaunahira o Ahiriri, ahau. We're bringing this early mahi to you for your endorsement, and also we do have some additional points in the paper. Julia is going to give an introduction to the kaupapa, and then I will come back to you with some specific requests.
we are here today to introduce a kaupapa that marks a step change in how Council engages with the people of Napier, the city's first ever Citizens' Assembly to be held in September of this year. A Citizens' Assembly is a form of deliberative democracy. It brings together a group of residents, selected randomly but in a way that ensures diversity, to learn about a complex issue, deliberate together and make recommendations to Council. It's not just a consultation, and it's not just a tick box survey. It's real, informed decision-making from within our communities. Assemblies offer deeper, fairer and more inclusive engagement on the big issues facing our communities. Citizens' assemblies are not new. The concept stretches back over 2,000 years to ancient Athens, where everyday people, not just political elites, were drawn by lot to deliberate on the future of their city. It's a concept that is also reflected in Indigenous traditions around the world. Te Lonoa in the Pacific, yarning circles in Aboriginal communities, and wānanga here in Aotearoa. At their heart, all these processes are about respectful dialogue, shared learning, and collective decision-making. In the modern world, citizens' assemblies have been used across Ireland, Canada, France, Belgium and Australia to tackle complex issues, big things like climate change, health reform or constitutional rights. In each case, governments have turned to the community not for a quick opinion, but for deep considered recommendations made after hearing expert evidence, diverse perspectives and engaging in real dialogue. Here in Aotearoa, assemblies have been held in Tairāwhiti, in Porirua, Whanganui and in Wellington. In all these places, especially where Māori were actively involved in the design, the results have been powerful, not only in the terms of what was recommended to council, but in the relationships, understanding and community strength that were built along the way. To break down the process a little bit, here is how a citizens' assembly generally works. First, in our case, we will be setting up a design group, which is a sort of technical advisory group. Jess is going to talk a little bit more about this soon. Then we choose a big issue, something that's hard to solve, involves different views and affects our future, or the future of Napier. We then reach out widely to hear from as many parts of our community as possible. With help from the design group, we will carefully shape a clear question for the Assembly to answer. Next, around 40 people are randomly selected across Napier. This process is called sortition. It ensures the group reflects our city's diversity, different ages, backgrounds, cultures and experiences. The group meets over 4 weekends to learn together. They hear from experts, local voices and people with lived experiences. After learning, they deliberate. This means having structured, respectful conversations, not a debate, but a space to listen, reflect and work towards a shared understanding. At the end, the group writes a set of recommendations for council, their collective, well-informed advice on the issue. So that's the basic flow. As an overview, it's a tool for deep listening and shared problem solving, and it brings everyday people into the heart of democracy. This Citizens' Assembly doesn't replace our existing processes, it strengthens them. It helps create a fuller picture of what our people value and aspire to. And it invites everyone to be part of shaping the future of Ahuriri Napier. So why are we doing it for Napier and why now? The engagement approach at Napier City Council needs to evolve. The way we have been doing things often doesn't reach all corners of our community. With the assemblies, space is made for the voices we don't often hear from or don't hear from at all the opportunity to be heard, valued and influential. This approach is being trialled now to lay strong foundations for Napier's next long-term plan, which will be the 2027 to 2037 long-term plan. I'll now pass over to Jess, who will talk a little bit more about what the design group, the role of the design group, and a few other operational requirements.
Ngā mihi, Julia. This is a really bold, brave, new way of doing democracy for Napier City Council, I should say, because I do want to be mindful of the wānanga and hui that have always been held in Ahuriri, and I do want to be very respectful of the place of Te Whanganui Orotu, and especially for Manaaki, and I imagine that this has always been a place of rich debate for our ability to look after people well. For the council, this is new, and I do want to say that at an officer and an elected member perspective, we are really personally engaged and have good energy for this mahi. It feels very difficult at the moment. As Julia has outlined, it's a complex process. And there's also examples from around the world that are being held up as case studies. And so the people that we reach out to for their expert knowledge are often looking at quite an international context. And it's part of the role that we have to bring this mahi into a Napier context that works for Napier. And I think what really brings us personal energy for this is this idea and this ability to have really rich conversations across a broad reach of people. Whiria te tangata, whiria te kōrero, whiria te whakaaro, me te māramatanga, to really bring an understanding of voices from lots of places and lots of perspectives, whereby our community engagement at the moment can be quite thin. So the first operational need that we have is to do with the design group. And in council, we often speak of technical advisory groups. The language around this is design group, but they're very similar. And when this paper was written, we were really wanting to ensure that we had valid and valuable mana whenua engagement in the design group. And I think some conversations have happened. We're moving at pace with this kaupapa. So in the paper, it does ask that we have that we call for a representative to sit on our design group, and I think some conversations at a rangatira level have happened to that end. Can I ask through you, Madam Chair, the request in the paper is to have mana whenua representation on the design group, but I know through our conversations that we may have resolved that.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, so shall I speak to that? So what was suggested between the Mayor and Fire Bev is that Uncle Matt and Fire Bev sit on that design group, on that technical advisory group. In an ideal world, we would have had a lot more time to really to make sure that everyone was comfortable with that. I feel really honoured that Uncle Matt and Fire Bev are going to sit with us, the design group. The meeting is on Tuesday, so we are working at pace. So that's one of the cornerstones that we put in place to make sure that the kaupapa is held in a really true way. And the other piece that we've put into the paper is the idea that although the Citizens' Assembly in other places around the world is randomly selected, we do inquire as to whether one of Ngā Mānukanuka or Te Iwi would sit in the Assembly itself. So I think that's a really good way of bringing this true north to the Assembly. So that's the second operational need that we have, which we're bringing to you today.
And we've nominated Mara Andrews to sit in.
Oh, ka pai. Mara's online, I understand?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, well, welcome, Mara, to this piece of work. And we really thank you to everybody, and to Mara and Fire Bev and Uncle Matt for, there's Mara out there. Oh, she's gone. Yeah, so...
I got voluntold to be
voluntold. Oh, well, welcome to the club.
Smile on you.
No, it's really fun. And there's snacks, so we're all good. Is there anything else, or shall I ask if there's pārtai?
We can open for questions.
Are there any pārtai?
Can I just open the discussion to Mayor Wise at this time?
Thank you, Fabian. So I'd just like you to talk a little bit more to how, through this process, you intend to uphold the principles of Te Tiriti, and also what you see as the role of our representatives on the design group as being, in terms of guiding the process.
I think there's going to be there has to be multiple ways of addressing our treaty responsibilities. And the design group is essential to that, because the design group keeps us true in the work that we do. So every step we take will be overseen by the design group, who collectively will ensure that we're staying true to responsibilities of all types. When we meet with the design group, so first on Tuesday, and then there's a meeting, I think every week or every second week through to August, they will be very hard-working meetings where everything that we're doing will be interrogated. We've also got on that design group Jackie Ham, who is part of our Te Wakarangapu group at work. So that will also ensure that we are upholding our partnership principles. I think also when we go out into the public to ask for people to apply to be on the Citizens' Assembly, we need to ensure that our communications and engagement methods are not the same old, but that we reach into as many communities in as many different ways as we can. Because if we continue to rely solely on online surveys, we're already putting up boundaries to true participation. We need to make sure that we are addressing all literacy types, and I'm not speaking solely about tangata whenua, but all sorts of people who have boundaries to participation. We need to break down geographical boundaries by actually going out to the people and not expecting them always to come to us for the methods that work for us. And I think Julia and I are both very open and actually very hungry for any ideas that anybody has. And I think the way to do that is through the design group. I think it can't be underestimated. It can't be overestimated how valuable and important that advisory group is going to be to this mahi.
Can I just ask a question around how many will be on the design group?
I just booked the room for Tuesday and I was told there was 13, but some of those are officers, myself included, and we do have some consultants working on this project with us. We have 2 consultants from Ahuriri. We have a consultant who is lending his skills from Melbourne, because in Victoria and Melbourne, it's mandated that this deliberative democracy, including citizens' assemblies, must be part of all their community engagement. So in terms of best practice approach on an international level, they have really good experience, which we're tapping into. We also have Lee, who is a consultant who's joining us from Auckland, and she will be part of some of the design group meetings. She comes from a centre of learning excellence at AUT called Koitu. They are doing some really interesting work in deliberative democracy, and she has worked on the water project for Auckland Council, which used the Citizens' Assembly as part of their engagement. So back to the question of how many, I think we have 8. I could go through them. We have, is that helpful?
Yep.
So we've recently engaged John Wise. He has some experience in deliberative democracy. He is a Napier local, very experienced in community engagement and connection. We have Rizwana Latif, who's coming to us from the Multicultural Society Association. She has a lot of community connection experience, and she's recently been in Singapore, partly there to receive an award and partly there looking at citizens' assemblies that have been used in Asia. We have young Georgia, who's on our youth council, who actually won't be at the meeting on Tuesday because her mum won't drive her back from Wellington early from the school holidays. The beauties of being youthful. And then we have Michelle, who's coming from our disability partnership group. Then we have 2 councillors, Mayor Wise and Councillor Crown. We have Jackie Ham at an officer level, and I think we've put Julia into the design group. We've done a little bit of a reshuffle from an officer point of view to make sure that people on the design group are not in the nitty-gritty of the work, so that where they lift up and are still staying in that best practice and the thinking space rather than getting down into the rats and mice of the doing. I think I've covered off. Yes.
Thank you. The other question is, how many times a year do they meet?
The design group?
No,
The Citizens' Assembly?
yes.
So there will be an orientation evening on the 1st of September. I'm flagging that as a really important tikanga and kawa evening. We need to make sure that we get that. We need to bed in the way we're going to work together through the Citizens' Assembly. We need to begin that on the 1st of September. Then there'll be 4 Saturdays through September, beginning on the 13th of September, and then the last hui will be on the 4th of October, which is the weekend before our local body elections. So it's 1 evening and 4 Saturdays. We are putting in place some support mechanisms such as childcare, transport, making sure that there is a kai for everybody, and some other things that may help breaking down those participatory boundaries.
Thank you. Are there any more questions from the committee?
Yeah.
Kia ora, Shaun.
Through you, Madam Chair. Kia ora.
Kia ora.
You've already touched on a few of the parts I had, and I've only just had a surface kind of self reflection on the Citizens' Assembly, and it's wholesome. But just a couple, I guess, parts I were around, I guess it's the potential of there being a documented treaty framework guiding the mahi, and that might be something that does exist currently in Te Waka Rangapu, but maybe something to strengthen and guide this mahi because it's new. I think that's important to consider. Also the ongoing influence of the mana whenua beyond, I guess, this initial phase, and how does that feed into longer term plans. I think that will also kind of bolster having the treaty framework in place prior to the mahi starting. Just some points I noted just while reading, just for consideration. Obviously, you've already touched on it, like the perceived lack of legitimacy around something new. So the communication, especially to whānau, is really important. And then risk of recommendations from this rōpū being ignored. Obviously, I'm sure these are scenarios that you already have down, but I think just from a hapu perspective, those are key, I guess, top of mind concerns when bringing information out to the public. I just had one more point just around showing recommendations that are acted upon, I think is important as well from this rōpū. Yeah, and that was all.
Ka pai, Shaun. Thank you. Awesome. Kia ora, Councillor.
Kia ora, through you, Madam Chair. I was wondering, where does the committee see them playing a part in the recruitment aspect of the Citizens' Assembly, recognising the fact that the idea is to make sure that we have good representation of our entire community, but also touching on a couple of the points that Shai has raised. I would hope that there was, I guess, a really practical ideas and sense of how we all can contribute to making sure that we get a great mix onto the actual assembly.
Just in the pre-brief that I had with the lovely ladies here, it was imperative for me to know that who we were putting on to this group in terms of the 40. And I believe that both Uncle Matt and I and some of the panel would be part of that recruitment.
Yep.
Yes.
And how will you ensure that whānau know about the opportunity to be a part of the assembly?
Oh, okay. So That's through the representatives here today. They will take it back to their marae meetings. They have a new reporting template in front of them, and so they will report back to their respective marae
Thank you.
and PSG. Any more questions?
Sorry, mine, through the chair, mine is not necessarily, not a question as such, but it is an opportunity. I see this as an opportunity for the Citizens' Assembly. I think it's an important issue for our citizens, how we receive our citizens, how we receive our people, just like us as in the Manuhiri things, but the people that you've got in there, like Michelle, who is quite qualified with special needs, she can introduce sign language, which is something that would be for our citizens as well. And you've got Rizwana, who's very diverse with the Multicultural Association. You've got Mel Wise over here, brings a lot of to inform everybody how things work, you know, and experience. You've got some wonderful people already there, and I think you are addressing the treaty claim part by including our cultural people, our cultural narrative, because I think everybody here that comes into New Zealand should know who the tangata whenua are. They should know about our culture, and they should be included in that. So we should be the face at the forefront of everything that comes in. Our manuhiri coming here, they need to know about our culture. Every time we receive visitors from different areas of the country, they don't know anything about us. We're just people that are here. And so they want to visit a marae, they want to know the culture, or should be introduced anyway to the culture. And the treaty addresses that through our council and what they're doing now. We are working in partnership, which is a great base for our citizens, and what we can provide to Manaaki and how, and it's great to see that with the representatives in the design group, which is just so important to us, and likewise how you express the needs for that to be inclusive of our culture. And we will be the face at the forefront of the world, and that's where we want to be, and that's where we want to take it, but we want to be seen together, walking together, which is another step that other countries want to see, and they're not doing, and they want it. So I congratulate you on putting this together. And we've got some wonderful representatives, and I think there's some great initiatives that are going to come out of here, and it'll be inclusive. And that's what we really want, to walk together, to work together, to be seen as inclusive in this country. So kia ora, whio mahi.
Kia ora, whaia.
Tēnā koe, Evelyn. Kia ora, Councillor Crown.
Kia ora, through you again, Madam Chair. I was wondering if our team would like to respond to Shai's pātai or comment around what happens with the recommendations from the Assembly and how that will be handled.
Aye. I really want to thank you for your questions, because some of them we hadn't considered, and we will absolutely. Some of them we had considered, and it really solidifies that we feel that we're on the right track. So there's two guardrails for the Citizens' Assembly, two things that will hold that kaupapa, because it is just a short amount of time really in the grand scheme of things. One we call the remit, but really it is a question. And one of the things the design group will look at on Tuesday is, what is that question? What are we asking of these people? The other we call the promise to the people, and that's on the council. So the council will be required in a public meeting to make a promise to the people. And that will be in a public meeting, a commitment to what they'll do with the recommendations. And the setting or the framing, the potential framing of what that promise is, will also come from the design group. But it will be up to the council to decide the exact wording of that promise. And so with those two guardrails in place, we have a really strong scaffold to hold that kaupapa. that in itself is a very good example of the immense value of having the design group in place, because without that, we really have a whole lot of officers just trying to work out how to manage all of that. Another question came up that I would like to address, if I may, and that's to do with what you can all do to help spread this word and make sure that we get as many and as wide a possible applications as we can. My secret goal is to have 1,600 people apply to be on an assembly of 40, and that's 2% of Napier households need to put somebody up. And I know that's really audacious, and that's just, for me personally, what success would look like. I'm certainly not holding anybody else but myself to that. What would be really helpful is for you to tell us what tools in the communication space would be useful. Jackie and I have been talking about how to interpret the language that I'm writing, and I'm predominantly coming from a position as a writer. And Jackie and I work really closely together, not with her translating my words, but with her interpreting them so that the meaning is in te reo first. And often she will interpret an idea, and I will then translate that into English. So it's not always coming English first. And the word and the notion that we've been using for this kaupapa is whakaaro. And the beauty about whakaaro is it actually does a better job than the English. In English, we have words like opinion, view, thought. They're very thin, but whakaaro has this depth to it. And so we're positioning this kaupapa with whakaaro. And Jackie and I are really having some fun looking at how we can use that in our calls to action and our solidifying statements so that we're leading with te reo. There's other things we can do. And in the past, we've made video work that we've translated into reo. And the way we do that is that I write the English, and then I'm going to play my hand here, I use AI to simplify that into the English version, the most Reader's Digest version. And then I give that version to Jackie, and she wakes it up again with her language skill. Because I never want to get into a position where we're trying to translate one for the other, because we will just lose valuable meaning. But if there is a tool that you specifically want, we will make that tool. We have our pātai ki te marae, which Hills and I work together on, and we'll certainly use that. That is a pātai that goes to all our marae. We rely on our marae to then print it out and pop it up on the notice board. But if there's anything else, we can make that.
We have a pātai from Mara. Kia ora, Mara.
Kia ora. Thought I'd better ask some questions since I'm going to be part of this. Just going on from what you just said, let's just say this opportunity does attract 1,600 people. Is the committee or the assembly of 40, are they convened per issue? Like, do you choose 40 random people out of that pool to consider a particular issue to the point of making a recommendation, and then when another issue comes up, you draw another different 40 from that pool? Or is this 40 people who just continue to keep considering different complex issues over a period of time? That's question one. And question two is, what's your criteria for defining a complex issue? Like, how do you decide, oh yeah, this is a complex issue to take to the assembly? You know, what's defining that versus something that someone else might say, well, you might think that's a simple thing, but to us it is a complex thing. So I just want to understand what kaupapa go to the assembly and who decides that. Is it the design group, and what kind of decision criteria do they have to say, yeah, this is a big enough issue to take to the assembly?
through you, Madam Chair, they're both excellent questions, and I'm really, really pleased that you're going to be part of our Assembly. The first question, the short answer is this reach out to the community will result in one assembly of 40 people who will have one remit and 4 weekends to sort it out and write their recommendations. So one remit for this assembly. Because I'm a natural-born optimist, I believe we will do another citizens' assembly in the future. We will reach out again to the community. We will of course link in those 1,600 people who expressed an interest, but we will start again and we will find another 40 people and there will be another remit or question. So for this one, the design group will be given the area that we need to solve and they will begin to write the question on Tuesday. The area we need to solve, a little bit of work has already happened in that space. And that really begins to answer your second question around what's complex and complicated. There's a real science to that. And I think that's where our consultants who have had experience in the space are really going to help us. Because that question needs to have enough in it to warrant this big time. We're asking a lot of the time and energy of the Assembly. It needs to have enough in it so it doesn't feel thin. It also needs to be useful to the planning and preparation of our next long-term plan, because that is how the Citizens' Assembly idea came about. It needs to be narrow enough that you don't need to do a degree in the subject to be able to give really authentic answers to that question. And it needs to have enough moving parts and complexities that it wouldn't just be something that our existing mechanisms, such as Ngā Mānukanuka and the elected members, that they wouldn't already have put their mind to. So in that kind of framing, we get an understanding of what complex is. But because it is so subjective, again, the design group will be our measure of that. It'll be the design group that says this is not complex enough, this is too complex, this fits in well with the general mahi or the time that the council is up to in their cycle of decision making. And really it will be them that will advise us through to decide if this is a good question or not. Does that answer the questions?
It does. It feels a little like quite a high transaction exercise if you have to keep going out to reassemble or re-recruit again every time you want an assembly. Thinking people are going to get hoha with that. Oh, we've got another issue, we need to recruit more people for another kaupapa. And whether, if you're going to go to the extent of creating a pool of 1,600, that you might keep that pool for 3 years or something and just draw on that pool without having to repeat that recruitment cycle again and again and again. It just feels like, oh, that's just going to be too much work for people to keep recruiting or keep applying, or whereas if it was available, potentially if we had 2 big issues happening at the same time, you could draw from that pool and have 2 assemblies going at the same time with different remits because the issues are so big. And potentially in Napier we might have a whole one around climate and recovery and all of that kind of stuff, and a whole nother one around the challenge of, I don't know, housing or something. So I'm just trying to think of the mechanics of it, and it just feels like if you've got to keep recruiting another 500, 1,000, whatever people every time you want to look at an issue, it potentially could become high transaction time and costs. That's my only thought. But if that's the way they run, oh well. I just think it'll fade out over time. People will get hoha being asked to keep coming to different assemblies for different kaupapa. That's all. I just can't see the practicality of it.
I think if I could address that, I think, as I said right at the beginning, because this is new for us and we're creating it at the moment. And again, I think the design group absolutely could hear that and could make decisions around that. I think the points you're raising, if I just think about the logistics and the resourcing of going out and finding 1,600 people, what you're saying really speaks to me with my doing hat on. My thinking and best practice hat, I would want the design group to make a really thoughtful decision about that. But I absolutely do hear you, and I think because we're doing this the Napier way, not the way that it's been done in Ireland or France or anywhere else, then I think it's absolutely something we can bring to the table and to that technical advisory group, design group.
And just through the chair, I think it raises a really good point, and it speaks to a question raised earlier about what happens after the assembly. And I do think about this a lot, and I think it needs to be given careful consideration about how this group of highly engaged people, once they walk away from the assembly, how we continue a really meaningful relationship with them and how we can draw on that group of people for ongoing engagement initiatives. In other forms, it is something that we will definitely be carefully considering, and it's just really important that when we finish the assembly, it just doesn't fall off a cliff. This is the beginning of something more meaningful. It's the start of doing things differently for us, and we're really committed to what next.
Thank you.
That's all from me. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Mara. I think it is new for all of us, especially for Uncle Matt, myself and Mara, going into this with our eyes wide open and listening to what Mara's talking about also, and as well as you two as the officers on this, that we will take it one step at a time and learn from it as we go, because that looks like it's already shaping up. And Tuesday is our first hui, so we won't be running. We will be taking our time through this to make sure it's going to work and work for both sides, work for us as the representatives, as well as work for our communities. So thank you, tēnā kōrua. So, okay, now we're going up to mover and seconder. For the officers' recommendations, and we have a B, C, D and E. D is to nominate myself and Uncle Matt as of Mānukanuka to join the Napier Citizens Assembly Design Group, and E is to nominate Mara Andrews, a Ngā Mānukanuka iwi member, to participate in the Citizens Assembly. So if I can have a mover, please. Thank you, Darren. And a seconder. Thank you, Evelyn. If there are any other speakers, please offer. Mover, right over there. That's it. And all those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Tēnā koutou.
Kia ora whai.
Thank you.
Kia ora.
So on agenda item number 3, we have the Three Waters project update presented by Syed Odrabi and Phil Kelson. Tēnā kōrua, nau mai ara mai. Kia ora.
Hi, kia ora. Kia ora, and thanks for giving us the opportunity. We'll be presenting some of our key Three Waters projects, quite high level. Next month, we'll have 3 separate papers coming out for those individual projects as well, so I'll try to keep it quite brief. The first project we have is the new reservoirs at the Hospital Hill site. The existing Enfield Reservoir is near the end of its design life, so we are currently working on a new reservoir at the Hospital Hill site. We are proposing 3 tanks, each of a capacity of 9 million liters, and it will be a staged construction with at least 2 being constructed starting July next year. For this project, as we go into detailed design, our plan is to have a co-design partnership with Mana Aohuriri for the site, as well as have them as part of the overall governance for this project.
Okay.
Similar to the Mataroho Reservoir is the Mission Hills Reservoir. Again, 2 new above-ground tanks will be constructed, each of 2 million liters capacity. Staged approach as well, where we'll be constructing 1 tank in the coming years, and the second will be based on the growth in the city, and it will be constructed at a later date as and when required. The third project is the pipelines for those reservoirs. For both Mataroho as well as the Taradale reservoirs. So there'll be several kilometers of pipeline which will be constructing in the coming years. So that will enable efficient transfer or transmission of water from our bore fields to the reservoirs. All these pipelines are currently underway. I have indicatively shown the concept routes, but they are several kilometers in length and cross most of our city. The next one is the Infrastructural Acceleration Funded IAF, the Tiawa Pump Station and Plantation Watercourse. So this project is intended to provide flood attenuation in Marae Nui. The plan is to redirect stormwater from Marae Nui to Tiawa via the Plantation Watercourse. And in the Serpentine Pond at the end, near the coast, we'll have a large 6,500 liter per second pump station and marine outfall. We have been working with Gareth Boyd from Mana Aohuriri on this project, and currently we are working through the cultural impact assessment for this project. As we go into detailed design for this project, there's quite a lot of opportunity for storytelling, which we'll be working alongside Mana Aohuriri on. Just a couple of slides which show the site plan of this project. The blue line is the Plantation Watercourse. The red box is the Serpentine Pond, where we'll have the new pump station as well. And this is just a sketch of how the pump station could look like. Again, it's still in very high-level feasibility stage. The next project is the Herrick and Taradale Road culvert upgrade. So these 2 culverts were identified as bottlenecks in our stormwater master plan, and both of them are currently undersized, and a project is underway, which is in detailed design right now to upgrade both of those culverts. The plan is to go out to construction hopefully this summer. And roughly 54 properties have been identified, which could have a reduction of more than 100 mm of flood water once these culverts are constructed. Both the culverts will have a fish passage as well.
Nice.
just shows the indicative size of the proposed culvert and also the existing culvert. That's the Herrick Street, and this is the Taradale culvert. Last project on our list is the review of the wastewater treatment plant at Awatoto. Basically, we're looking at the review of the treatment process. Currently, the treatment plant has milliscreens, which screen it up to 1 millimeter, and then we have biotrickling filters. After the filtration, it goes through a 1.5 kilometer long outfall to the Hawke Bay. So we engaged Stantec in November 2024 to undertake this process review. Some of the early findings are that no significant long-term effects have been observed on Hawke Bay. Again, potential effects have been likely minor or less than minor. We did have, over the years, some non-compliances, mainly because of blockages to the outfall. We did have some leakages in the wastewater outfall as well. Next month, we'll be presenting a separate paper on the renewal of that wastewater outfall, which is underway as well. However, we will note that in most cases, those non-compliances were addressed in a timely and reasonable manner, and that has been noted in the Stantec's review. Any questions?
Any questions?
Yeah. I just want to ask, is that our mana ahuriri people are involved in that? And our Taiao people are...
In all these projects, we are working closely with mana ahuriri, yes.
Yeah, and our Taiao committee, so it's quite important to sort of make that clear. That they are working alongside of you in every step. In our Taiao group, sorry. Oh, okay, we got Gareth over there at the back from our mana ahuriri. So that's good, and alongside of our kahui kaumātua as well. Gareth?
Hi, kia ora koutou. I don't have to press any buttons, no. Yeah, thanks, Wha. I'm really comfortable with this process and how this partnership's working, and I'm actually often knocking myself and saying, why are you singing the praises of a council so much? But I really enjoy, especially this team, the NCC Waters and Environmental team, and how they involve us in their mahi early so that we can get involved rather than at the point where we're finding out about consent stages. So, ka pai.
I think it's just to make it important, Gareth, having you at the table when these are delivered is quite important for our committee to see. At all the updates that they have. So I'm just going to put a recommendation down that mana ahuriri are sitting at the table also. Kia ora tātou. Okay. Now let me move through my notes. So thank you, Korua, tēnā korua, for your presentation. So is there anything?
Mara.
Oh, kia ora, Mara.
Kia ora, thank you. I just have a question about the reservoirs, not that I have any clue what 9 million litres of water looks like. What I'm thinking is obviously you're projecting forward around the amount of water the city needs for the future. Is that kind of take into account all the population growth and the future development strategy that all the councils put together around the growth in housing need across both cities and, everything that came out of the FDUs? Is that taken into consideration when you're thinking about future water storage needs or access?
Through the chair. So yes, the reservoirs the storage for these reservoirs was sized looking at the FDS. So we look at the 20-year, 50-year, and 100-year scenarios. The 3 tanks with the 27 million liter capacity was sized for 2072 scenario.
Oh, awesome. And just one other question is, how does, I was interested in, stormwater and all of that discussion. If we had another cyclone, where does, and there's a very high potential we could have, how are cyclone-related events or major climate events planned for in terms of water, whether it's getting rid of the water or making sure we have water if people can't get water? But where does that fit into the planning?
Through the chair. So the reservoirs or the drinking water is designed for an importance level 4, which means that the reservoirs will survive earthquake as well. So it takes into account cyclones, earthquakes, and other such natural disasters. So the reservoirs will be designed to withstand an earthquake, and they are sized to provide water 20 liters per person per day for 28 days for the community.
It's a new formula that I've never heard of before. Thank you for that. Well, that's all from me. Thanks, Chair.
Tēnā koe Mara. Tēnā kōrua. Okay, so I've put a B in here. What I'm asking is, do I have a mover and a seconder for these two, for an A and a B? One, to receive the information provided on the current progress of significant Three Waters projects being delivered by Napier City Council, and B, that mana ahuriri to be present at these updates. Do I have a mover and a seconder, please? Mara as a mover and a seconder. Darren. I'm going to ask the mover if she has anything to offer. Nope. And the seconder, Darren? Ka pai. Tēnā kōrua, tēnā kōrua, tēnā tātou. So, all those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Tēnā koutou.
Thank you.
Item agenda number 4, Te Wakarangapu update presented by Hilary Prentice. Tēnā, Hilary. Nau mai.
Kia ora tātou. Through the chair, I will take my report as read, and maybe, is there any questions? I might highlight a couple of things. The purpose of this report provides an update on the progress and achievements of Te Wakarangapu over the last quarter. The team has continued to foster a holistic and inclusive environment at Napier City Council, which is evident through the mahi that we've been doing. So, yeah, are there any questions?
Doing a good job.
Any questions for you?
Through the chair. And not a question so much as just a ngā mihi. Thank you. I found this report to be very informative, and it was really good to have a full update of all of the activities that Te Wakarangapu has played a partnership and leadership role in throughout Council over the past quarter. It's just really useful for the committee here to see, but also for our wider community see the role that you play within our organisation across so many different activities and projects, and really appreciate your report. Thank you, Hilary.
Ka pai. No more other questions? Thank you, Hilary. Tō ripota. Do I have a mover and a seconder for the officers of Te Wakarangapu recommendation, please? Yep, mover, Evelyn, and a seconder. Maureen, can I ask Evelyn, do you have anything that you would like to say on that matter?
Just to mihi me tēnei kia koe, for your mahi and your ongoing work for our people. So kia ora rā.
Kia ora.
And Maureen?
No, just tautoko. I think you're doing a great job. Te waka rangapu. Kia ora.
Ka pai. No more speakers. All those in favour, please say aye.
Right.
Against? Carried. Tēnā koe tau. Minor matters? Minor matters? No discussion for minor matters. Updates from members. So we will start an update from the members, please. Maureen?
Kia ora. Out at the marae, at the moment we're just leading up to our blessing, our rededication of the marae, which is after since cyclone, the aftermath. So it's been like nearly 2.5 years that we've been working on the renovation. So I would like to announce that we are having a blessing rededication on the Friday, the 25th of July, 2025, and you're all welcome to come. Pōwhari's at 10 o'clock. Yeah, so that's me.
Thank you, tēnā koe. Darren?
I'd just like to acknowledge Mātua Tāmati. He was our kaumātua, moi mai rā, mātua. We also finished our recovery wrap-up, recovery and operations. That's wrapped up now. Yeah. Thank you.
Ka pai, mōrena tātou. Just with what's happening in that Timikara, we've just gone through a strat plan. As we're still young and still don't know much about that kind of way of how it's been done, but we're willing to learn. So we've just been sitting with Raihania Wirihana. So he's been helping us out navigate through that. Through that kaupapa. Also, we just sit down and see if we can sort of, strengthen our relationships up with our pai, our ringa wera, our people that work in the kitchen and the grave diggers. To us, that's our tikanga. And so if we can work on those relationships, because our bigger mission is our rangatahi, bringing our rangatahi back in. Because, we're going to need kai karanga, kai kōrero, and they already got it within them. Just to be encouraged and guided along the way. That is our mission. It's a work in progress. Kia ora tātou.
Awesome, Kirk. Tēnā koe. Kia ora, Shai.
Kia ora. Pitane Marae, we've been very busy, very busy. I guess some of the mahi that I just want to highlight in this hui were initiated, some initial dialogue with Regional Council and Napier City Council. So there's some exciting new forged partnerships there. We've formalised some agreements as a part of our rebuild phase with the Crown, which is exciting for us as a hapu. Strengthening our hapu has been really important. Cementing and I guess just reminding our whānau their connection to the whenua, but also to each other, and that's been a huge key amount of mahi that we need to continue whilst we are, marae-less at the moment. And that's been awesome and exciting to bring our whānau home and stay connected to Pitane, which also includes building our capabilities as a board as well. Also our marae resilience and capabilities during this phase, because what's important too is to ensure the stability and ongoing sustainability when we do have our marae. And that's all from us.
Tēnā koe, Shai. Kia ora. Evelyn?
Kia ora, mana ahuriri. Mana ahuriri is still very active, and there's a lot happening over there, especially in the Taiao and around the airport and around the whanga. There's a lot of activity going around there, and a lot of history is going to be recorded for our benefits, for our marae, for all our marae. and our continued support for all the marae, whether it be resources, pānui, and that's always available from mana ahuriri, and the doors are open. So, and that includes cleanups in the community and all of that, especially after Matariki. There was a lot happening in there, a lot of involvement in that area. The relationships are still being built and still being maintained, and that's one with Napier City Council, who we're grateful for, and we've got a good relationship with our council and the people that work on the council, alongside of Hastings District Council also. You know, the relationships are there, and Hawke's Bay Regional Council. So those are very important relationships that need to be kept and maintained for the betterment of all our marae in this area. So still working well in that area. And our housing development, which is a great big one, and that's coming up very soon. So that's exciting times for us. We've got about 4 different areas where we're going to be doing housing, the housing project, and that will be included for our marae soon. So watch the space. We've got a pānui out for called Te Karoro. If you want to get on there and have a look at our website. There, and it's very informative. We've got some great people and some exciting stuff on there. Includes maps and what's happening in whaiao, hunting, all of these things here that they're pretty much well covered in our environment. So I think our housing project developments are huge, and they'll be coming up soon. So we've got some groundbreaking stuff that are coming through over in Wharerangi, Owen Street, Auckland Road, and what road have I missed? Yeah, and so these are developments that are up and coming, and so there's some good things that are going to happen through that's going to benefit all our marae and our people of Ahuriri. And along with the history that's coming out of it, it's great. So exciting stuff to come. Kia ora.
Tēnā koe, Evelyn. Kia ora, Mara.
Kia ora. I guess we had a similar story as our other marae, particularly that were impacted by the cyclone. So we continue to provide support for the Taimoio Marae Committee around the rebuild and relocation. I'm not sure if we had held our hapu hui before or after our last committee meeting, but the hapu did vote for the MTT and the Marae Committee to purchase the Whakaari block, which is a big piece of land on the coast there out at Taimoio. I believe we take possession in October.
Nice.
After which time we can support the committee to get the rebuild underway, and they're hoping to have the rebuild completed by the end of 2027. So in the meantime, lots of whānau out the valley still doing work on both Uripa, on the old marae site with planting, doing a beautiful job there. And for MTT, our big focus right now is going through the audit process ready for our AGM in a few months' time, and just starting to get the work underway for our marae. So totally get where Waiahiki and Pētani are. You know, it's both a lot of work, but also very exciting to finally have that done. And the Crown was pretty adamant. They wanted all the recovery agreements and funding to be sorted out by 30 June. So I'm sure everybody has been working hard to get those Crown funding agreements done for recovery resources invested into our rohe. So yeah, it's good that they fronted up with the pūtea and just allow all of our hapu really to get into rebuild and recovery mode now that we've got certainty of resources. So, yep, that's all from us. Kia ora.
Tēnā koe, Mara. Kia ora, everybody. I'm going to hand it to the elected members for their update, please.
Oh, kia ora, everyone. So first of all, I thought that I would just let everyone know that last weekend we had the reopening of the refreshed exhibition at the MTG called Shockwave. So they've had their shake house kindly revamped by one of our government departments. It's a really beautiful exhibition which includes kōrero and guidance from Uncle Matt here. So it looks all the way through from sort of a atua Māori perspective with Ruaumoko through to tips and tricks for whānau so they can prepare for emergency. So it's well worth a look, and especially if you've got tamariki around these holidays, free to go and have a look at and accessible as well. In sort of my zone of council at the moment, we had a committee meeting yesterday. We received our Treasury report, which tracks our finances in regards to cash that we have available to us and debt that we're incurring in order to complete and work on some of the big projects that we're doing that are intergenerational, making sure that that cost is spread fairly as possible, and it allows us to prioritise those projects and make sure that we have the pūtea to keep them going. We also actually closed off, it was a huge milestone yesterday, closing off the policy around the voluntary buyout of properties that were affected from Cyclone Gabriel. So we have 14 whānau, 14 property owners here in Napier within our boundaries who engaged with that process, and it was a real milestone being able to draw a line in the sand and recognise the fact that those who have been just so hugely affected have been able to move forward. Now, recognising the fact that, you know, you carry these things with you probably for life, but this is hopefully a line in the sand for them to be able to move forward into the next phases of their lives. The other thing we looked at was our investment arm, for want of a better description, Ahuriri Investments Management, that we've been setting up as a vehicle to manage some of the assets that we have here at council and that we look after on behalf of our community. We're wanting to do things smarter, ensure that we are leveraging those assets so that rates can be managed and perhaps lowered in the future due to the management of those assets better and getting a return for council on those, a financial return. You know, we absolutely acknowledge and understand that the cost of living is something that is top of mind for our community at the moment in nearly all households, let's be fair. And so things like Ahuriri Investment Management and also us just setting our rates for the coming year and approving our annual plan, those are big pieces of work, and those are big topics that are top of mind for your councillors at the moment as well. Kia ora.
Tēnā koe, Councillor Crown. Councillor Price.
Thank you. I chair Sustainable Napier, so it's mainly infrastructure, and we're lucky enough to have had a paper just before us that outlines some pretty big items that are taking place. Big spend and good for our water, which is our main project. I guess the thing that came out at our meeting yesterday was some results on our water. So in 2019, we had 1,330 complaints about clarity. Each year up until now, it's dropped back, and we now have 30 complaints, which is fantastic. Yes. You know, I think when Kirsten took over as mayor, water was one of her things, and we're all behind her on it, and that is a great result. Absolutely. That we've achieved, because we did get a bashing a few years ago. So that's, I think, the main thing for me. Thank you.
Tēnā koe, Councillor Crown. Councillor McGrath. Tēnā.
Although I have the most exciting portfolio and directorship being people and places and community service, I'll keep it short today. Our meeting yesterday, we went through the community services grants funding for the next round. So That'll bring some positivity and for our community, some of our organisations we've got out there. Hopefully it'll help them get through the next 12 months. Also, we looked at naming some of the rooms within this building. As we said, just part of our project from sorting the War Memorial, getting it back to the status that it deserves. And we've had a naming committee come through and put some names forward, and they were all ratified yesterday. It's never that easy. We have to go and do a lot of work around that now, and eventually it'll all fall into place. I guess I'm all about people and places. Big weekend coming up for Hawke's Bay. It's a couple of massive rugby matches tomorrow between Taradale and Napier Old Boys Marist, both the Colts and the senior rugby. We're not competitive, myself and Councillor Price, but if you're in the area, go and watch a game, go out and watch some kids play or some adults play if the weather's in your favour. And if it's not in your favour, I'm getting there. So if it's not in your favour, there's some really good indoor stuff tomorrow afternoon. The Hawks are playing their final game for the season. Damn exciting. Good family stuff. I'm not sure what time it starts, but I reckon someone might be able to let us know.
6:30 Rapid League, 7:30 game, isn't it? And we're maroon.
It's spelt like moron. So yeah, exciting weekend coming up for Hawke's Bay. Starts tonight and goes right through. Get out and about.
Awesome. Just thank you for your report back, elected members. I have a question for you, Councillor McGrath. In terms of the naming of the War Memorial, were there any mana whenua that were approached to support any of those namings?
I'm going to... Do we know that exact answer?
We might need to take that away.
Yeah.
Sorry, through the chair, there was an independent working group that worked through the selection process, and one of the rooms has been named Arohaina. Arohaina, thank you, Councillor Crown, in recognition of the Māori Battalion and all of the service from our tangata whenua. But we can certainly confirm if there was any mana whenua representation on that working group and can come back to you on that.
And all the names, can we have a list of all the names, please?
Yeah, it's currently in public excluded.
Okay.
Oh,
but
I probably shouldn't have mentioned that. Sorry.
The next part of the process is to check in with whānau, especially as some of the rooms are referencing and recognising individuals or whānau. Okay. So that check and balance will happen first, and then we'll be able to share.
Okay. Thank you.
I just want to...
Thank you all.
Can I just add something to that? I just want to make it clear that it's all based around the military services.
It used to be.
Yeah, our people were military too.
Oh, Elizabeth. Elizabeth can talk to this. Yes.
The members of the naming group. Sorry, can you hear me? Yeah. One of the members of the naming group, John Purcell, is mana whenua. He was the immediate past president of the Napier RSA.
Sorry, I didn't hear his name. John. Oh, yes, yes. Thank you. Well, thank you, everybody. We're now moving to the public excluded agenda.